right before the NBA draft took place on Thursday, a blockbuster trade went down in the NBA that's going to impact some other potential stars on the move. Of course, that blockbuster trade was Chris Paul to the Golden State Warriors in exchange for Jordan Poole. Obviously, Jordan Poole being shipped off to Washington, and now he essentially becomes, along with Tyus Jones, the sort of building blocks of the Wizards rebuild. And of course, they got Tyus Jones in that trade. Then involved Marcus Smart, Kristaps Porzingis, between the Wizards, the Celtics, and the Grizzlies. And that's right after the Wizards traded Bradley Beal for Chris Paul and essentially nothing, Landry Shamet to Phoenix. So, the Wizards are doing a rebuild, right? They got rid of Bradley Beal, they got rid of Kristaps Porzingis, they got back essentially Jordan Poole, Landry Shamet, and Tyus Jones, who are going to be three guards and are obviously the building blocks for the future. But that is not why we're here. We're not here to talk about the Wizards that are going to be in the doghouse. We are here to talk about Chris Paul going from the Suns. I'm not even going to say the Wizards. Essentially going from the Suns to Golden State. And there's a lot of people, when I get it, that are questioning this move. Chris Paul's scheme and his way of playing, obviously, his slow, methodical pace does not fit with Golden State's fast-paced offense. Obviously, Chris Paul and the Golden State Warriors have history. But I will say this, and obviously Golden State has a new general manager in Mike Dunleavy Jr. after Bob Myers stepped down. A lot of people, and this throughout sports, whether it's the NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, fans do not like dynasties. That's why a lot of fans like March Madness, because they like parity. They're sick of seeing the same superstars, the same teams over and over again. And I've always been the complete opposite. I've always respected dynasties because I understand how hard it is to create a dynasty, especially in today's sports world where there are so many great teams and great players. And on top of that, to go along with that point, to maintain a dynasty. And ever since Steve Kerr arrived in Golden State, beginning of the 2014-2015 season, the Warriors, this is the first season since the dynasty began that when they made the playoffs, they have not reached the NBA Finals. And you can make an argument. Obviously, 3 years they have won the championship. They could have 4 if it wasn't for all their guys getting hurt against Toronto. Now, the NBA is the easiest sport, in my opinion, out of the major 4 to build a dynasty, but it is still really hard to get guys like Steph, Clay, Draymond in their prime, that good, and going to 5 straight NBA Finals, taking a couple years off, then going back to the NBA Finals, and we're a couple games away from beating the Lakers and getting back to the Western Conference Finals. Again, same coach, same everything, same structure for that many years, no matter the sport, is difficult. And when somebody like me, who obviously seen them for 4 straight years, I'm from Cleveland, I'm a Cavs fan. When you see Cavs versus Golden State 4 straight years in a row, I think prior to them going 3 straight years in a row, even the Lakers Celtics in the 80s, we never saw that. So don't hate on it. Respect the greatness. And even though we all make fun of Chris Paul because he doesn't have a ring and he always gets hurt, and Chris Paul has obviously bashed Golden State, and he had Golden State down 3-2 when he was in Houston in 2018, and then his leg gave out. And he could not finish that series, and Houston blew the 3-2 lead. Chris Paul realizes, again, he got hurt in Phoenix, could not get the job done in Phoenix, made the NBA Finals for the first time, could not defeat Milwaukee in 2021. Chris Paul realizes his legacy will change if he does eventually win a championship, and it doesn't matter where he wins that championship. And it's not like Chris Paul chose Golden State. Washington traded him to Golden State. And the Warriors are going to decide to keep him and make him essentially their sixth man, which, we talked about a lot with LeBron in his Cleveland days and his early LA days. When LeBron would leave the court, he'd be up 2 or 3 points. He'd come back and the Lakers or Cavs would be down 7 to 8 points. The bench just could not score. And it felt that way last year for the Warriors, that when Steph was off the court, their offense was completely different. Obviously, in the postseason, Klay Thompson was a shell of himself. Draymond Green could not score anymore. Jordan Poole went sideways, and obviously he was sideways with the Warriors ever since the scuffle with Draymond Green before training camp last year. You sort of knew the writing was on the wall for Jordan Poole. But Golden State felt old, and they felt like they needed to add some depth to their bench. They got older, and they got smaller. So I understand the concern. But Chris Paul now is going to be playing less minutes. He's a very smart player. And in order to play for a team like the Warriors or a team like New England or even now a team like Kansas City in the NFL, the NBA, these really smart organizations with smart head coaches, you had to be a smart player. You had to be mature. You can't be a dum-dum, which is why young players like Kuminga and Wiseman don't work with Golden State. And it's why players like Andrew Bogut and Andre Iguodala, and all the guys that they brought in, Sean Livingston, Mo Spates, why all those veterans do work with the Warriors, because they're smart, they're tough, they have a great basketball IQ, they have a great understanding of the game, and they know their role. Chris Paul will provide significant minutes for the Warriors this year. Yes, they do need to get size, and they can still trade Kuminga and Wiseman for another big to add alongside Looney. And you can have, Looney, Draymond, Wiggins. I would say Klay Thompson, the guy they drafted in the draft out of South Cal, can really shoot the ball. He's going to contribute this year, maybe off the bench, maybe in the starting lineup. If they do decide to get rid of Klay, I think that is the biggest question mark. I know there's some talk about Draymond Green leaving Golden State. I don't think that is going to be the case. I think it's all smoke. I don't think there's no fire there. I think Draymond is going to come back, and Golden State is going to try, with Chris Paul being their sixth man, one more run. And that's what old veteran dynasty teams do. I think, again, Golden State felt like they were injured most of the year. They felt like the chemistry was off with the young kids in the locker room that were pouting, and they feel like if they're healthy and they can take less games off, again, some games Chris Paul can come off the bench. Other games, if Steph needs to take a day off, Chris can start. There's going to be some games where I'm sure Chris will not play. And you're just going to rotate everybody and rest everybody, because Golden State knows the regular season in the NBA doesn't matter. Where the big boys going to play is the postseason. I think Chris Paul is going to work with Golden State. I like the move. It's what smart veteran teams do. Now, as it relates to the NBA draft, there were other players such as Damian Lillard and Zion Williamson not traded. And you could even throw Jared Allen in. There was a big rumor the Cavs were going to try to make a splash for a wing. That did not happen. And as I had said, prior to the draft, I didn't believe Dame was going to get traded. I didn't believe Zion was going to get traded. I didn't believe Jared Allen was going to get traded, because you're not trading these veteran players, these star to superstar players, for young players. As I just got done saying in my last segment, unless you're completely rebuilding, which the Cavs are not, New Orleans is not, and Portland, it sounds like, does not. They're going to go ahead, and pair Scooter Anderson with Damian Lillard and see what they can do. You're not rebuilding with a 19, 20-year-old kid. It's going to take you 4 to 5 years. Yes, Scooter Anderson is a kid, but he is mature beyond his years. He is a superstar-like talent. The rest of this NBA draft does not have that. So I don't think you're training all these guys for kids. I think you're doing it to win now. I think there is potential for Dame if they can get NBA ready talent. You can move Dame for some wings and pair, Scoot Henderson with some wings. Zion Williamson, I know he went sideways in New Orleans. It sounds like they're going to try him again one more year. And I don't think either of these guys are going to be traded. You like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.